Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Dbacks Dispatch here. Got Brandon and Gabe here to go over the somehow Dbacks win a series at Citi Field, which is something that literally you cannot say over like the last 7 years. So congrats to the team there. If this is your first time checking us out, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell here on YouTube. That way you get notified every time we go live. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. That way you'll see all of us wherever we are posting content, any tweets. Freaking Gabe has been cooking it. Like, I swear, every series Gabe has a new, just fantastic meme that he excels at. So just shout out to you, Gabe, for just being able to do so good at that. And then make sure to go ahead and check out azsnakebit.com. We have articles over there ourselves. There are also just other articles from fellow Dback fans. Make sure to check out our Discord. The link is in the description box below. You can join. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. So we had a series here against the Mets. We got some, I don't know what you want to say, good news or bad news, but we did find out, I think it was like midday on Tuesday, that Puck, basically they were going to shut him down. No baseball activities for 2 to 3 weeks. When I saw that, I thought that was just a massive dub. Huge news, because he was getting a second and third opinion, and as a pitcher, usually when you hear that, that's not good. You're like, oh great, here comes Tommy John, so we're gonna be without him for a year and a half. So I thought it was really great that we got that news, that all right, maybe it's not as bad as they thought, that maybe they just needed to shut him down, which is what they should have done with someone else. It only took them a while to make that decision. So good news there with Puck. But yeah, Dbacks at Citi Field, it doesn't really work. Since 2018, now this is including this series, they are 6-18, and they're 13-30 overall against the Mets. So it's not good. I don't know what it is, but playing the Mets lately has just been not great. So yeah, it's definitely been a struggle there, but looks like maybe they're riding the ship there as they went 2-1 in this series. So game one, started by Eduardo Rodriguez, didn't really go that great. Wasn't really that great, to be honest, all around. Mets, I think it was the third or fourth inning, luckiest defensive plays I've ever seen in my life in a single inning. That freaking grounder that bounces right to Lindor, and then there's a fly ball deep to left center that Taylor, that dude had some sort of devil magic this entire series, because that dude is just a mid baseball player. He is an average baseball player, but he looked like an all-star in this series. So it was definitely this first game, I know we all oh great, it's the D-backs in New York again. They're just gonna look like this team the Mets just ripped the soul out of this team last year with that whole tiebreaker situation. And game one made it look like this team just didn't care. It was just ugly. I couldn't watch. But Gabe, kind of what were your initial thoughts here after game one?
Yeah, it felt like one of those, here we go again type of situations just because, I mean, this was a beatdown. Erod just looked terrible in this game, and he is the topic of discussion um, coming up. But and it wasn't just him. The offense was completely dead. They had their opportunities as well. I believe they might even have the bases loaded at some point. It was in the eighth, I believe. They had a chance to really do some damage, and they just couldn't get anything done. And with the way this offense has been so far, the last few weeks, especially since Cattell went down, it just felt like, damn, like they're really going for a sweep. And Corbin Burns being inconsistent, Zach Gallen being inconsistent. Like you don't want to start dooming already just because it's still early, but it definitely felt like, damn, like are we really going to lose this against the Mets and go under 500? And that was my biggest fear, just with how competitive this division is, with how competitive the NL East is going to be. Like right now, I don't think everybody is at full health and ready to go. I mean, the Phillies are starting to catch fire, the Braves are starting to catch fire, so there's quite a few teams that still haven't reached their potential yet that I feel will, and it's just gonna make it a lot harder, and it's gonna be a complete dogfight at the end there. So, yeah, it just felt like a typical City Field game, just playing pinball with the ball and somehow getting outs. Like I compared it to Angels in the outfield, like they were just catching everything.
It was.
Somehow finding the right spots over and over and over again. And meanwhile, the D-backs just had little bloopers go over their heads and just little dribblers go through, and you're just like, okay, cool, that's fine. Yeah, of course, the Mets, with they'll have hits with the .05 expected batting average, but the D-backs with their 950 expected batting average, is just an out, and it was just so frustrating that first game, and it just felt like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's par for the course. We're gonna have to maybe try to win the series against the Phillies if we're lucky, and then felt like a complete beatdown at that point. I felt disillusioned to a certain extent, but I just want to acknowledge some of the comments here before we go on. Tanner says huge series win. Yes, like especially going down to tiebreakers. The Mets, maybe they will stay up in the division, maybe they won't. I mean, the Phillies are very good, and so are the Braves eventually once they get Ronald Acuna Jr. if they don't trade him because he's unhappy. Uh, V says reporting for duty. Nice to have you here, V. And yes, the streets of New York do hate to see Zach Gallen coming because he is just a monster there. So
I
that's
don't.
why
It's so weird.
I'm like, he's either going to sign with New York or he's going to sign with Boston because they, I don't know what it is. He just pitches really well there. Um, Dank, nice to see you. Corbin Barrels, again, huge series win. And yeah, it was I think overall a great series. And I think if they would have had these sort of numbers against any other team, I would be concerned. But just the fact that they played such gutsy baseball in these last couple of games, especially with the way that first game went, I felt like even that one, if things had rolled a certain way, I felt it could have been a lot more competitive.
Yeah. It's just like when you're watching this game, you're like, serious. Like there were several times in game one, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me with this? Like just one thing after another, and it was just getting frustrating. But one thing that continues to be frustrating is the way Eduardo Rodriguez has been pitching lately. Um, among all qualified MLB pitchers, he has the third worst ERA, and that's after the start at 6.06. It's not very good. Not very good. He's allowed 22 earned over 32 and 2/3 innings. That stat comes courtesy of Dbacks stats and info on Twitter. Go ahead and if you're not following them, you really, really should. They post really good quality tweets that are just like they're very informative on the just like kind of what's going on with the team. Um, but his struggles, I don't know if it's entirely his fault. In all of his starts, the team's batting a total of 198. They're averaging they're averaging 4.5 runs a game, but that's because they scored 10 against the Cubs in his first start. You take that out, that number goes a lot farther down. And Erod didn't last very long in this one. He only won 4 innings, 9 hits, eight earned, 8 earned. Ryan Nelson had to come in for cleanup duty, and he didn't give up a hit, by the way. Ryan Nelson in 4 innings did not give up a hit, had 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. So it was tough because the game was pretty much over at that point. They were down 8-0 at that point, but Ryan kept it at 8. So he gave the offense a shot. So after the first month of the season, Erod seems to be kind of struggling. Is this kind of who he is? Like, just kind of the guy who's going to give you 4 or 5 solid innings, but give up 4 or 5 runs, so your offense is really going to have to be clicking that day. How long do you expect this team to kind of hold on to him? And then when do they move on to Ryan Nelson? Because what they said they'd like to do is, like, each week they want to get Ryan, like, an outing to stretch him out. So, like, 40 to 50 pitches. This outing, Nelson ended up throwing 68 pitches, 44 for strikes. I'd say that's pretty good. So, like, I know they signed Erod to a big, big contract. Paid him lots of money. And a lot of times, a lot of teams will basically not move on from a guy because of that. But with the state of the National League and the state of the National League West, I don't know if they can hang on to that for so long, because you're sacrificing a lot. You are sacrificing games at that point, and you just can't do that. So do you think it's just early season struggles with him, or is this just who he is?
It's a very tough question just because, as some of the commenters are also saying, it just seems like he's had a bit of bad luck. I mean, it's not like he's been great, but he seems to have been having a little bit of bad luck. Like, if you look at his expected stats, 3.77 ERA, expected batting average, 2.276. He has a decent velocity. He has a good chase rate. I mean, he gets a lot of swing and miss, especially when we watch these games. A lot of the, when he's able to, really, especially with that changeup, he's able to put it down in the zone. He gets so many guys to chase after that, and he really doesn't walk a lot of guys either. Like, he has a lot of really great stats, and if you look at the FIP, which is field independent pitching, it's a 4.06, and that's who I feel that he is. He is a guy who's going to have a very low 4 up to like a very high 3, so like a 3.8 to 4.05 type of guy. Like, he's not a 6 ERA guy, and I just feel like he's had quite a bit of bad luck. Like, in this game as well, go back and look at all those hits. Like, there's 3 or 4 just little squib shots that just got through, and you feel like any other defenders out there, Cattell, I feel like, could have had a couple of those that went through Tawa and Naylor. I believe it was in that game where Naylor didn't back up first either, or well, that might have been. He might not have been in that game, but point is, I just think the defense is scuffling a little bit, and they haven't been as sharp behind him as well. And at times they just don't count errors the way they should. Like the one that Lindor hit, the one that Pavin hit to Lindor that they counted as a hit, which is crazy. That was an error through and through, but they just counted it as a hit. So I feel like we're getting to the point of no return with Nelson as well. Like, at some point they're going to have to decide who he is. Is he going to be the guy that they're establishing as a long reliever, or is he a guy who's going to have a role on this team next year in the starting rotation? Because I know they want to keep him stretched out, but like you said, 50, 60 pitches, that's not really stretching a guy out. And we've seen it before with Trey Jameson, Jean Duplantier. We have a history of ruining guys because we can't decide where to put them. And I kind of have that fear for Ryan, where after a few more weeks, he's going to have to stay in the bullpen for the rest of the year. And if not, they're going to have to send him down to Reno, at least to keep his workload up. So in case Erod is just looking terrible at the end of May, or anybody else is looking terrible, or there's an injury, they can call him back up. But as of right now, I feel like we kind of have to ride with Erod. But again, this offense has to do more. We can't just keep relying on their starting pitchers to go 6 innings and 1 earned run. like Corbin Burns and Zach Gallen did today. Like at some point, they're going to give up a couple more runs. And we talk about the workload of the bullpen that contributes. The offense, they struggle. And so if if a pitcher is coming out with 85 pitches in the sixth inning, you think, okay, you can maybe go in the seventh. If their score is 2-1, 3-2, they're not bringing him back out there. They're gonna have to start burning bullpen arms. So this offense has to do more, and hopefully they're able to put it together with the news I could tell is in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So end up losing game one. So it's kind of a bummer because you're like, oh great. And it wasn't really a competitive game whatsoever. So kind of moving on here to game two. Torey puts out a lineup that we're all like, this is the type of lineups that we talk about that it feels like sacrificing games for health for some guys. Because this was like Tim Todd was in the leadoff spot. Well, okay, that's a choice. And this was Geraldo Perdomo's first day off, I think, all year. Torey, you should have done that like a week ago when he wasn't hitting, but he's been hitting well the last few days. So it looks really weird to sit Geraldo Perdomo. And then it's the same thing that we talk about when they want to give these guys days off, but it's not a full day off. It's like a half day off because Jerry came in and pinch hit, and he had to. He literally had to. They were runners on second and third, and we need our most clutch bat that's on the roster right now. With Cattell out, I'm probably gonna say Jerry is our most clutch hitter, and he came through. Burns pitched this game. He looked really, really good. Now he's his stat line's a little it doesn't look like that great. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned, 5 walks, but only 3 Ks. But he kept his team in the game. He only gave up 1 earned run through 6 innings, so he got a quality start. What's funny, this was Torey's 600th career win as a Dbacks manager. And everyone just freaking the comments on social media like, fire Torey. I'm like, what are we doing here? Come on, are you guys serious? They're not gonna do it. Why would they fire a manager where the team is literally in a wild card spot? They're only 2.5 games out of first place. Hold up, is it 2.5 now? Okay, sorry, it's 4, but they're 17-14. They have a 55 winning percentage. They're not gonna fire their manager on April 1st. I mean on May 1st. You'll just stop. I know some some of you, it's every freaking day. I'm like, why does that man live rent free in your head so much? He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't give a shit who you are. So why do you have to take all your energy with that? It bothers me because a lot of the struggles have nothing to do with the manager. It's about player execution.
Yeah. And I think you're right with a lot of that. I think the issue is when we see lineups like this, and I'm not on the fire Torey train. I think
no.
Maybe if we end this.
So we are critical of Torey. There's a difference of critiquing his moves doesn't mean we want him fired. We just learn from your mistakes.
And that's the thing. It's it's not like he's a first year manager. I mean, he's been here since 2017. I believe this is his 9th season. It's the same thing. When we talk about the rest days, and Scott is asking about Moreno, why he gets so many off days. That's on Torey. He plays him 2 games. He rests him for 1. It's just, if you look at guys like Big Dumper or every other prestige catcher in this league plays and catches about 150 games, and Gabby's the only one who's going to get maybe 100 games at the catching position, and I don't understand that. Say maybe he is fragile. I don't know. It's injuries happen no matter what, whoever the guy is. Look at Alec Thomas. Alec Thomas didn't have a single injury his entire career until last year. it just happens. It's not the workload. It just kind of happens from time to time. But with Torrey, when I saw this lineup come out, I'm like, that's a lineup. There's 5 guys batting under
Right?
200. And so, like I said, like,
That's
yeah,
a
like I'm not,
choice, Tori.
there's just, I mean, like I said, yeah, there's people that's going to say, fire Torrey no matter what. Like, I do think we should give him credit, when credit is due. In this case, bringing in Perdomo to pinch hit and then bringing in Ali to pinch run were key. But then if I say that, then people are going to say, should have been in there. I would agree. I think specifically Alex
You say that.
should have
You
been.
and Brett say that all the time.
Alex,
You're like, if they were in the first place, we probably
yeah,
would be winning.
exactly. So I'm like I
Yeah.
said, like I'm fine with rest days. The problem is when you're giving so many guys rest days where the lineup looks like this, where there's 5 guys batting under 200 in a critical series after you just lost, just completely awful game, and you only scored 3 runs against the Mets, and at that point you're just like, man, this lineup looks really really rough. And so then we start thinking about, what about Lawler? I mean, the guy is hitting damn near 400. He looks like Aaron Judge in the minor leagues, and they don't want to call him up yet.
It's the
Eventually,
PCL. Like that's my thing. Is so many good players down there do that in the PCL.
I mean, yeah, but also the defense. I mean, this defense does not look sharp at all. I mean, Gino
No,
sailing throws. He's been doing like a lot of Olay type of picks
just like
at
put in
third
the
as well.
glove.
Putting the glove, just doing like an Olay move, just letting the balls go straight through is just, it's been really, really bad there at third. And Tall hasn't been the best. Hampson's kind of been the only reliable guy other than Domo, but Domo has also had a couple errors. So again, like I understand it, but in terms of this game, Corbin Burns, I mean, this is what you pay the guy for. Like, you pay a guy to stop the bleeding, to put you on his back and say, hey, look, I'm going to do literally everything I can to help this team win. And he did. 1 run. That's what he gave up in 6 innings. And I think that's, tweeted out. It's incredibly clutch from him and Gallen to go out there and be the aces that they're supposed to be.
It was a homer too. That was it. Like he had one mistake against Vientos. Like it was a cutter that was very hittable. So yeah, like this was like they needed this from, and I think he needed it from a confidence perspective, because really had not pitched well. Like his cutter's just not working, and like it was okay in this outing. Like it wasn't like dominant, but it got the job done there. So just want to go over a couple of comments here. Scott is like, the priority is getting Halsey and Finnegan. Halsey, I think it's going to cost a lot, and I don't think Finnegan is as good as people think. There's a reason he went almost unsigned through the entire offseason. So I don't know if that's an option. I think we have 3 or 4 guys that are better than Finnegan on our roster currently. And Herrera is such a drop-off offensively. He's also a drop-off defensively as well. His inability to throw out runners, his not being able, his inability to really throw out runners and pitch framing is very frustrating to watch. But no, Burns threw 94 pitches in this game. 56 were cutters. So again, a lot more of the cutter than anything else. Got 5 whiffs on it, so it's not too bad. But when you throw 56 pitches, you definitely want to see a lot more. And something else I forgot to mention. On Monday, we found out that Kevin Ginkel's back, and he made his season debut in this game and did a really good job. But kind of a little sidetrack there. But Burns did get his first win. Would you say this is his best start, Gabe, of the season?
Yes. Just because of the fact of who he was facing. His other start was probably like quote unquote the best one. Was it against the Marlins? The like 6 innings, 8 strikeouts one or whatever,
Yeah,
which one that was. Yeah, so great start, but again, I believe it was the Marlins. Not the best opponent, and this one being against the Mets. The best at the time, best team in baseball, just a high powered
Mm.
offense coming in. They're top 10 in basically every offensive category. And the fact that he was able to shut them down the way that he did, despite giving up as many walks as he did. I believe he gave up 5 walks. Like,
he did.
against any other team, if he gave up 5 walks against the Rockies, then I would be like, this, there's a lot to improve here. But the Mets are very patient. They take their pitches, throw anything out of the zone, they just will not swing at it. So the fact that he was able to keep him in line and get the ground balls when he needed to, it shows, he's starting to progress. I believe his last 3 starts, he's only allowed 4 runs total in his last 3 starts. He's looked a lot better. He's gone, 6 innings in one, 5 2/3 in another, and I think this one is 6 as well. So he's been slowly but steadily improving as the month has gone on. So don't be surprised if May comes along and you were seeing him go 7 innings, 2 runs, and like 7 or 8 strikeouts. So I do think he's improving. I think he's probably gonna get a lot of better, and so that's why I think it's the best. Not so much because of the accounting stats. Like if you look at the box score, you might say it's probably one of the more rough ones, but 6 innings and 1 run against the Mets to stop the bleeding, I think is probably the most clutch and best start.
Yeah, and like if you look at his game log, like he hasn't had any blow up start. Like the one against the Nats was kind of bad. Like it was 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned. But that one he had no control in that game whatsoever. But his last 4 starts, 6 innings, 3 earned, 6 innings, 2 earned, 5 1/3, 1 earned, 6 innings, 1 earned. He just didn't offense didn't just help him out in those games. So it was really good to see him get his first win of the season. Hopefully, he can kind of go on a streak there because what he's been doing his last few starts is giving the team a chance. It's just offense is just not helping him out, which is kind of a bummer here. So we got to kind of change the topic here. Go something that's a little bit negative. J-Mart in this start. We talked about it on our last podcast, how on Sunday his velocity was really down. It was like 97, like he was not pitching well. He pitched today in game 2. First pitch is a 95. And immediately, I know for me, I'm like, oh, Jesus. What is going on? And like he just didn't look good in this start overall. Gives up a homer, then walks the next 2 guys. So obviously we're in trouble. I was so surprised that Torrey, like literally after the homer, he immediately got up Thompson. Like I was very surprised by that he was willing to have that leash very short. And he brought in Thompson and his big ass balls, y'all. Big ass, like what he did in this game was huge because we were like, Brett said it in our chat. He's like, losing this game's gonna suck. And I was like, it's exactly how I felt because that's what it was looking like. I'm like, this is a classic Dbacks bullpen choking away a game. But Ryan Thompson came in, got the job done. So Martinez only faced the 3 batters in this. His velocity was definitely lower. Is this just a symptom of his dead arm? Or do we think that his shoulder injury could be a little bit worse than we're being led to believe?
So we brought it up on a couple podcasts ago. I mean, that's how long this has been going on. It's been going on since that Marlins series, or a little bit after the Cubs series, and we're all wondering like, why isn't J-Mart being put into this game? And we're called Twitter managers because we want guys to be put into games and situations where they should be in. And so when the news came out on Sunday, I believe, we talked about shoulder fatigue was the way they put it, and then they later out like some sort of dead arm situation. I would have thought they would image that. Like, how do you spend this much money on a guy, basically crown him a future closer and not even image him? Like, that's crazy to me. And I know and people have said, like, "Oh, well, you don't think the team has done it?" I'm like, "That's not what they're telling us." Like, what the hell? Like, are they doing it or not? Like, I don't understand. I'm like, are they charging them $60,000 like they do the rest of us to take an MRI, or what the hell? Like, why have they refused to do an MRI? And it seemed like they finally did when they put him on the IL. Uh, the 15-day IL finally,
Yeah.
when he seems to have done some imaging and found some inflammation. I'm like, how does that not come up? Like, like I'm not gonna, blame Tori or even Hazen. I mean, I'm gonna blame the medical staff. Like, how does this get through? And you mentioned it before. Like, this is an issue with a lot of teams, but also, with Jamar, he said he's fine. I'm like, yeah, but he's gonna say he's fine. He wants to go out there and pitch. Like, every one of these guys will tell you over and over again.
They're competitive. They want to play.
If they're pitchers, they will literally be out there until their arm falls off. They don't care. They want to win. They're competitors, and if they feel like they can compete, they will. So if a young guy like Jamar, who's only 23, who has a big contract, he's going to want to play through whatever it is that he has. So you have to be responsible as a manager, as a team, as an organization, and say, hold your horses. Let's just do an imaging and see what's up. Like, if there's something here, and you could save a lot of more issues down the road. Like, the fact that his velocity dipped down that much Sunday, and there's still no imaging. They didn't shut him down. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, there's clearly something wrong with him, whether it's physical, whether it's a mechanics issue, whatever it is. Something is wrong with them, and it's crazy that they just refuse to do anything about it until finally, after this game. And then Tori, like, right away took him out and put in Thompson, and Thompson even said it, like, yeah, like, his velocity's down, and so he got up and started warming up right away. So I'm like, Thompson can see it, but the bullpen coach doesn't. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't understand it. And hopefully, he's able to recover. It's a 15-day IL, so it seems like, shouldn't be too much of an issue. But this is the same medical staff that last year could tell with his contusion in his ankle, brought him back to play the next day, and then he hurt even more. So then he was out for about a month, and this team missed the playoffs. So I don't trust this medical staff at all right now.
No, and I believe you 100%. So after this game, Jody, I believe it was Jody Jackson, had a post-game interview with Thompson. Thompson said on the first pitch, when he saw that it was only 95, he got up and stretched immediately because he knew it was going to be he wanted to be ready. So he was being proactive. And I was like, okay, Thompson, that is a veteran move. That is, I'm not waiting for my manager to come get me. I'm going to be ready so that when he calls my warm-up, I'm already a few minutes ahead of him. So I want to bring up Scott's. Is Jamar's MRI negative? So he flew back to Phoenix today. So he probably had the MRI. I don't think we've gotten news of the results of it. So I'm hoping one of the beat writers, we get some info about that tomorrow, so we can kind of be prepared as to how long we're going to be without him, because he was placed on the 15-day IL with a right shoulder inflammation. So yeah, and kind of like you said, like this medical stat, like, it was weird. I was listening, and basically, I think I was listening to Arizona Sports, and there was like a commercial break, and they were talking about how the Diamondbacks have like one of the best staffs in the league, and I immediately said, bullshit, they do. They do not. Like, I get, like, your Arizona Sports, so you have to, like, you broadcast their games, like, you're gonna sugarcoat it, like, you're not gonna say how it really is. But no, they, like, the way, like, that's why the whole thing with Cattell and his hammy this year, like, I'm like, I don't know what to expect, because they have made a lot of errors in the past, just with Marte in general, with his soft tissue injuries. So, like, that's what kind of has me worried. But if you follow Cattell on social media, he literally posted on his story that he's on a plane going to Philadelphia. Why else would he do that? So it's almost certain that he will be activated for the game tomorrow, which is good news. So I just sit down J Mart for a little bit. If it is dead arm, then just have him just not play. Like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's just dead arm and he just needs to not play for 2 or 3 weeks. Because
Yeah,
I'm
and
fine with him not playing for 2 or 3 weeks if it means we have him in like June, July, August, and September. I'm
yeah.
fine with that.
Yeah, and I think something to keep in mind is that, I mean, obviously we're not medical professionals, and I think that's kind
No.
of the thing here. It's like we don't truly know what's going on behind the scenes. Like they could be doing certain tests that we don't know about. But I do think, something to always look out for is the fact that with the way that he was just pulling everything, just not being able to throw that, just refusing to throw the fastball yesterday as well,
Oh yeah, he wouldn't.
pulling
He
and just
wouldn't.
not throwing the fastball. I wonder if this is kind of like a, how would I say it? A symptom of another cause. And I think maybe I should do a full body scan just in case, because maybe there's an issue with his hip that he's overcompensating for, because that happens. Like anybody who's had any sort of injury, if you injure, let's say your right foot during the, maybe about a week or two, you're using your left foot a little bit more, that left foot is going to feel a little bit more sore than normal because you're kind of overcompensating for a bit. So that's why when guys have injuries like on their shoulders or even their hamstring, like a tell, sometimes it's something else. Sometimes it's a back issue that isn't addressed that your body overcompensates for. And so then it puts strain on certain muscles that it shouldn't be straining. So in this case with Jmart, it isn't in the shoulder supposedly, but it could be a lower back issue. It could be a hips issue just because he is effortless the way he throws it. But, if you look at a guy like Aroldis Chapman, Randy Johnson, like their sort of movement is, these long strides. So maybe there is something more. And I think, maybe asking for a second opinion could just be that, looking at his entire body just to make sure that there isn't something else there that might be causing his upper body to compensate for maybe an injury in the lower body.
So Tanner, you asked a great question. Will teams ever trade this early? I mean, teams have. Like Padres got Luis Rise around this time last year, and Marlins are probably going to be doing the same thing with Sandy Alcantara. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded over the next month. Like that's entirely possible. Um, for me, like, and I think you brought it up in our group chat, kind of talking about how have they should have done imaging when he signed that contract, or they should have done a physical. I'm pretty sure they did. Again, this is me just theorizing. I think whatever the issue is started after the season. I think I'm really hoping that it's just dead arm, which is very common for these guys that throw this fast.
Yeah, and like I said, like the most frustrating thing was just the fact that they didn't pitch him for an entire week. He threw 12 pitches in 1 week because he wasn't feeling well. And my point was just, I don't get it. Like I've had imaging done before, or like I've gotten an MRI scan before. I didn't feel any effects or anything. Like the only thing they do is just put in was whatever that chemical is in, in your blood that for the negative where it feels like you're peeing. That's about it. That's kind of like the only thing I felt. But other than that, like it shouldn't be that much of an issue to have a guy just go through an X-ray machine, check him out. Like, okay, is there something there? Is there not something there? Um, because yeah, I mean, these guys are incredibly valuable. Like you can't just
Yeah.
not pay attention to certain signs. And same with Puck. Like, I mean, the fact he had a velo, but his location wasn't there. So the fact that he ended up needing time off. I mean, it's 60 days IL. Hopefully, when he comes back, he's ready to go. And we've seen this before, so so people know for context, rest can, depending on the situation, it can make things better. In 2021, Zach Gallen had a UCL strain, and everyone was like Tommy John right away. But they
That's
sent the
always
medical
the
staff.
go-to with UCLs.
And I mean, for a good reason. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of a death sentence for pitchers. As soon as there's any sort of elbow or forearm strain or tightness, at that point you feel like, okay, like it's only a matter of time. And for Gallen, in 2021, they shut him down for a little over a month. He came back, was fine, and for the most part, he's been fine. It's just been little, ticky tacky injuries here and
Yeah.
there, um, not related to that UCL. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I was hoping with Puck as well, and with J-Mart. I mean, just gotta take care of these guys. And people talk about like, oh, the workload. He's pitched like 7 innings this season. What workload
Yeah.
are you guys talking about? Like, there is no
Yeah.
workload.
He didn't have like, and like Puck had a little, Puck had more than J-Mart before he went out, but
He
I
had
don't.
10 innings or something like that before.
But like J-Mart's, like I don't think it's like due to overusage. Like we're in freaking May. Like it's not overusage. So
Yeah, it's not like these guys are pitching all that much in spring training either,
no,
especially these
no.
guys whose roles are basically guaranteed.
Yeah. So but we did find out before this game that they moved Puck from the 15 to the 60-day IL, which makes sense because of how they're gonna, like, he's gonna be shut down for 2 or 3 weeks. Then they got to start a throwing program, which is playing catch on the flat ground, then like 60 feet, then 90 feet, then a bullpen session. Like if you just think like they're gonna do each step probably every week, so that's gonna probably be like 6 weeks at minimum, probably. So it makes sense why you would move him to the 60-day, because you're not going to have him for at least 30 to 45 days. So it, like, that one wasn't surprising. I was just glad that they finally made the decision with Jamar. All right, let's just sit him down. Like, obviously they can't listen to him because he said he was fine. Everybody with eyes can see he is not. Whether he says it, which we brought it up, like it could just be he's a competitive guy. He wants to play. But the problem is with J-Mart is what he was giving us was actually hurting the team. Like it was not helping. We almost lost the game there for game 2. So hopefully it's just as simple as not pitching for 2 or 3 weeks, and then maybe he's back by June 1st, and it's the J-Mart that they signed the massive extension to. So hopefully things work out there with them. Moving on to game 3, started by Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen was phenomenal in this start. If you're a Dbacks fan, you probably should just accept he is going to be playing for a New York team next year because he loves pitching in New York. His 2 best starts this year, one at Yankee Stadium, one at Citi Field. I don't think that the Yankees would sign him because they got Cole on a big contract. They got Max Fried on a big contract. I don't know if they do a third. They have the money, and like that's not going to be the problem. But Gallen won 6 innings.
Cole, at least Garrett Cole's going to be out until like probably September of next year.
Yeah. But no, great day from Gallen. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Love to see it. You said it. It's his fastball command, and he had that today. When I was watching, I'm like, yes, he's locating his fastball, so everything else works. So I don't know what was said. I don't know if it was Jose Herrera behind the plate. I don't know if they're he's finally listening to his pitching coach, because everyone right now wants to blame our pitching coach for our struggles. But it's really hard to gauge as to, with a new pitching coach, like how long do you wait? Like how long do you wait to see, is it the coach or is it the pitchers? Like I think it's still early, and I think Kaplan has done a decent job. I think you tweeted it out, between Burns and Gallen. What was it? 12 innings, 1 earn, 2 earn,
2 runs, 2 runs. Both of them were off a home run as well.
So like this is what we want to see when we talk about Burns and Gallen back to back. Like just shutting down offenses for literally 2 straight days, and that's what they did. So great. So Gallen tossed another gem in New York. Do you think it's just pitching in New York for him, or like because I know he's from Pennsylvania, so is it just the fact of being back on the East Coast? Like, what do you think it is, or is it just a weird coincidence that he just has pitched well in New York?
I think it's a mixture of everything. He's just, being around a place he's more familiar with. Maybe that could be it. I also think maybe it's the fact that they've been playing outside as well. I mean, we mentioned with the Yankees, it's not like Rodon didn't adjust and just destroy the D-backs because that cold was just different. It was like 35 degrees, like in the stadium because of the wind chill. So, if the bats go cold, there's probably a reason why. But
You're right, Tanner. He is from Jersey.
he's from Jersey, so
Sorry.
it could be just familiarity. And we've seen him multiple times when he's pitching here. He grabs his neck a lot because he's trying to find any moisture to put on the ball because these balls can be so bone dry by the time it gets to the actual field of play. Like I know in Chase they have the humidifier, but it's not like they're getting the ball from the humidifier and giving it straight to Gallon. I mean, they have it in those little ball bins or whatever. I don't even know I don't even know what the terminology ball buckets. And they have them there for a while, and then by the time the players actually start playing with them, they're going to be dry, and a lot of players complain about how dry they are and not having enough tackiness, especially now without any of the sticky stuff. You need to be able to put at least a little bit of moisture on the ball so that that mud on it that they rub on it, you can have a little bit more grip and a little bit more precision with it. So it could just be that. It's just the fact that it's New York. Maybe it's a little bit more humid. He's outside. He's able to get more moisture on the ball than he can here at Chase because it is very low humidity here. So I would be interested to see what he does in the other stadiums. Like I believe he would have he's not really starting against anybody outside anytime soon. I think his next start would be against the Dodgers, or is it the Mets coming in early? No, it's the Mets, right?
Mets, yeah.
Mets here. So, if we see another start for him, let's say in Cincinnati, St. Louis, one of these places with a little bit more humidity, if he pitches like this, and that's probably it. And then maybe just trying to find a way for him to get, a little bit more tackiness on the ball.
Yeah. It's actually a really solid point now that you bring that up. Yeah, it could just be being outside. And Tanner, you're right. Because the Mets need starting pitching. So I wouldn't be surprised if they offer him a lot of money. It just depends on how his season as a whole goes. If we get the Gallon we've seen in New York, he's going to get paid. Every other start, it's going to be a prove deal, 1 year deal with a option for a second. So so we got a pretty much our A lineup in this one. So I was happy to see that. Other than you can book it. The third game in any series will be started by Jose Herrera, and it is beyond infuriating. I don't know if this was just a plan for the first 6 weeks to really give Gabby 2 days on, 1 day off. But at a point, he needs to play day in and day out to get into a rhythm because he's had games where he looks really good and then Torres hits him. And then you're like, there goes all of that momentum. So I'm not sure how much longer I can handle this because it's beyond infuriating. Like every series finale, it's Jose Herrera. And for the most part, he's an automatic out. He did get a hit in this game, which was his first hit since he played against Washington, which was literally 3 weeks prior. So it's if we're going to have a platoon at catcher, we need to have an actual good catcher. That is not Jose Herrera. But the problem is, who else are we going to do? We can't use ADC because he's still injured. And Rene Pinto is literally the same thing as Jose Herrera. So it's it's not really any better. Tim Tawa, I get he's batting 190, but he also has 5 homers. Literally half his hits are homers, by the way. So he's being Geno, is what he's doing. It's like the only time he gets a hit, it's a big one. Like he's slugging. And his defense to me has improved drastically since when he first, like that first week, those first 2 weeks, I couldn't stand watching him because he was just making bad play after bad play. But he has looked a whole lot better. You could definitely tell like the nerves were getting to him when he first got here. So really, really good. I need to see something that's not 190. Because that's just not going to do it. Because I mean, we'll see what the move is tomorrow for Marte. I'm really like I'm not sure how that's going to go, but bullpen stepped up big in this game. Like the last 2 days, our bullpen stepped up huge, which is something that we don't get to say a lot because most of the time our bullpen doesn't get the job done. I'm so glad that we've been wrong about Scott McGuff. He has not pitched. It's not pitched once since he's been up here. So I've been very happy. So it was Thompson, Ginkel, and Miller to shut it down and get the win. Ginkel's was a little bit sweaty. Not gonna lie. I got a little worried there in the eighth, and like I was curious as to how Torrey was going to handle the 8th and the 9th. Like, I was thinking maybe matchup based but also you want your best arm there in the 8th because it had Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. So I thought he might go Shelby. He went Ginkel. You can definitely tell it's a guy that it's his second game of the year. So like I'm not gonna like be like, oh my gosh, is Ginkel wash type of thing. No, it's his second start. He struck out Lindor, and then Juan Soto got 2 homers to the opposite field in this game, and then he walked Alonso, and we got lucky that Pete Alonso is so slow, because that Jesse Winker double, which shout out to trash Mets fans, by the way, throwing things at Alec Thomas as he's trying to make that play. So way to be great, outstanding fans and not look like complete. Oh wait, that's what you are for the most part. But then Ginkel gets the job done, strikes out the next 2, and then Shelby comes in and just looks like he didn't even have to try. Like that was so like no stress whatsoever. Gets the first 2 guys on like 3 pitches, and then gets the ground out of Taylor and gets the job done. So now that we know that we're without Puck for 2 months, we're probably without J Mart for 2 or 3 weeks. Is this the order that you would want to see us kind of go if we have the lead going in the 7th? You want to go Thompson, Ginkel, Miller, or do you think it's still going to be matchup based per game?
Probably, I think for the most part, there's going to be back and forth with Ginkel and Miller. Although I do think Shelby should just be closing from here on out until one of these guys comes back, because he does have the experience for it, a lot more than Ginkel and a lot more than Thompson. And I don't think Thompson's a closer just because of his stuff. And we mentioned before, to be a closer, to be an 8th inning guy, you need swing and miss. And Thompson, I mean, today he was getting some swing and miss, which is, great. But for the most part, I think Ginkel and Miller do have a lot more, a lot better stuff that I think, like with Ginkel, he loaded up the bases, or was it 2 guys on? He was able to get out of it because he was making his pitches, because he had the velocity and the swing and miss still to get out of that. And Shelby has just been incredible for the team.
Second and third.
Second and third. So at some point he's going to falter. Oh, he struck out the side, right? That's what it was. He had second and third,
yes.
No outs, struck out the side. That's what. Yeah, exactly. So that's what Kevin Ginkel is when he's on. When he's good and he's ready to go. And it's something that we mentioned in the group chat. It's like he's coming back from injury still. Like you kind of have to get what you can get out of him right now, because he's going to be inconsistent. So if they put him in the 9th, it could have been the exact same thing. Just the matches probably wouldn't have mattered in this case just because he's still coming back from injury. So he's going to be missing. He's going to be spotty. So I think right now it probably should be Ginkel and Miller for sure, 8th and 9th. And I think probably a little bit more of a revolving door for the 7th spot just because, they have Murillo back there who throws 100. Beaks, he hasn't looked as great recently, but he can still get the job done for the most part.
He did
Beaks,
to Soto.
Murillo. There's a few guys I think in that bullpen I think you can switch around a little bit and get some outs when needed. But for right now, I think the most important guys are Ginkel and Miller back to back.
Ginkel's probably not pitching again until Sunday. He threw 34 pitches here. Maybe Saturday. Like I feel like Saturday's a maybe, but like more of a towards like I don't want to have to. And like Tanner's asking, when is Graveman coming back? From what they said, Graveman was about a week or so behind Ginkel. So I think his next step is a rehab outing. So we get back Graveman. There's another guy that we can use in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So I think we're gonna be okay for now with our bullpen. As to kind of what Torrey's kind of gonna do here. Because I still think that this bullpen is the best that's been put together since Torrey's been here. I just think, and you kind of brought it up with Thompson, like his stuff is not closer. He doesn't strike guys out. He is a induced contact. That's why Shelby should be the closer because of that splitter. His splitter gets so much whiff. He gets guys to chase on that or they get frozen all the time. So hopefully, we get Graveman back here in the next, week and a half. So Tanner, I don't know how you say it. For Ryzen, he was actually DFA'd and signed by the Dodgers. So he's no longer involved in the organization. Shout out here to Nathaniel. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate the support. So congrats to the team on a huge series win. A much needed series win because as we talked about it, our next 3 weeks are going to be so important. We're facing a lot of good teams over the next 3 weeks. So like I said, we had this 3 against the Mets. We got 3 against the Phillies, 3 more against the Mets, 4 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Giants. And then we get a little break. We get a weekend series against the Rockies, and then we play the Dodgers again. So that is a lot of good baseball teams we will be playing over the next 3 weeks. So we're going to kind of transition here to a preview of our next series. The team's literally getting on a bus, and they're going to Philadelphia, playing the Phillies. And rumor is we should have Tel Marte back. It's going to be interesting to see what moves the team makes in this situation. What I think will happen is Tawa will go down to Reno. I truly think that's most likely what's going to happen just because they're going to need a backup shortstop. Tawa has literally not played it at the major league level. He only played like 2 games of it last year in Reno. So I don't think that's probably going to happen. I would love to be surprised. I would love to see that graphic, Marte activated and Garrett Hampson has been designated for assignment. Just because I would rather have Tawa's bat off the bench. Like, because to be honest, a lot of his homers have been late in games. Like, I'm certain he has at least 2 9th inning home runs. So, hopefully we get Marte back. Then we're gonna put Jerry in the 9 hole. Like I know everyone wants like Jerry in the 2 spot because he's hit well, but I want somebody on for Marte and Carroll, and you put Jerry in that 9 hole, he's gonna get on base, and then they'll have to pitch to either Carroll or Marte. It just lengthens this lineup so much with him down there. So,
Yeah.
and then also like this also helps because it's going to allow Pavin to get pitches to hit. Like they can't pitch around him, which they've been doing a lot. Like he just gets walks, which I'm fine with. I'm like, just don't get strikeouts. Just get on base. Like that is completely fine. And like it's gonna help Naylor. Like it's just adding Marte is gonna give this offense the jolt that we've been talking about that this offense needs. So game one will be started by Merrill Kelly versus Jose Luzardo. Game two started by Fott, then Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola, by the way, 0-5 with a 5.40 ERA. That is shocking. Like I was like, oh wow, he's not having a great start. And then Sunday will be battle of the lefties, Erod versus Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez is making his debut. Any predictions here?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm just curious to see what Cattell does. Like if he comes back and he looks as sharp as he did when he left, because the last thing we need is a guy who's going to be slumping for the next 2 weeks as well with Cattell, because Corbin has been in a mini slump for the last couple of weeks, and it makes sense. Teams have adjusted to him, and he started off so incredibly hot.
When you start here, there's only one way to go.
Yeah, there's only one place to go down, unless you're Aaron Judge, who's batting 420 or whatever it is right now. But I think teams adjusted, and it's just the fact that again they're staying away from Carroll. They're not really getting him much to hit in the strike zone, just because it's Perdomo back there, and Perdomo, like we mentioned before, in the last 3 weeks, even to about a month, hasn't hit too well. He's been hitting, I think, 220 in that stretch, maybe even a little bit lower. And then Pavin, again, you can work around him, just because the rest of the lineup isn't as strong, because you get through Naylor, and then it's a lot of guys under 200. So you can work around Pavin, not give him anything to swing at. And again, he's also been in the slump. He's batting, I think, 111 or 117 his last 7 games. He really he's just been walking, which is good. But for number 3 guy, you need a guy who can do some damage. And I think right now, I don't know what the solution is other than right now just bringing Cattell back and lengthening this lineup. Maybe you just slot everyone down. Maybe just Perdomo just goes to that 9th spot, and then he can turn over the lineup and then help, because at that point you can't really pitch around Corbin if Perdomo's on base and stuff. So I'm very curious.
You can. It's not a smart idea.
You can, but then you got Cattell, and then again you got your Pavin, who also hasn't been too great with runners in scoring position overall in the season, but it's going to happen. But yeah, I'm just curious to see. Like, I'm excited to see what this team looks like, and in terms of who's getting sent down or who's coming up, like Hampson, you don't want guys to lose their jobs, and I think that's kind of the unfortunate part about Hampson. I believe he doesn't have any options, so it would have to be a DFA. And with Tawa, he is a guy that you can just send back down. And Tawa, I know we love him, the flying Hawaiian, but in about almost 60 at bats, he's batting 190, which again, we don't need another guy who's hitting under 200. He has 5 home runs, he has 10 RBI, and I think he has 11 hits on the season. 5 are home runs.
Yes, it's like half. It was like
damn near half his hits are just home runs. So that's why his
OPS he's like
higher.
A mini Gino. He's a mini Gino.
That's all he's been doing, really. Which is great. But like you said, a piece off the bench. I think if he stays up, I think that's kind of a perfect spot for him. Just a guy who's going to be able to come in a pinch hit position, and because he's been playing, close to every day. And you expect guys to get better, and he just hasn't really adjusted to major league pitching. He's 58 at bats. That's no longer as small of a sample size as 10 at bats, 20 at bats. I mean, you're talking about a month's worth of work, and he just hasn't produced as much as you would like him to. Again, the 5 home runs, amazing. But other than that, he hasn't really done all that much. Hasn't really had any triples or doubles. So I can see him getting sent down, although, like I said, I would prefer him just to be a bit piece off the bench, not to play every day. But we mentioned Cattell's, they're probably going to slow roll him. They're not going to make him play every single day. So in this Philly series, don't be surprised if he plays one game. And if he plays 2 games, he might be off the bench or even the DH. So I'm just excited to see that. I was hoping with the news that, that Lawler was scratched from today, that
that was fun.
that he could be coming up again just to take, because he's hit Tao's hitting 190. Like, we can't just pretend he's better than what he has been. Same with Hampson. I believe he's still hitting 170. You need guys who can produce, and right now we have a lot of holes in this lineup. Even today, let's see, there were 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the 9 guys who played today have an average under 200. Like, that's really, really bad. And at some point that has to change, and I'm hoping that Cattell can do that. And same thing with the pitching. Merrill, he's got to come out strong, because with how Texas bullpen is after the series and after the injuries, they're going to need him to get as many innings as they can.
Yeah. So I do want to say that, yes, it was great that we won the series, but the one thing we've been talking about with this offense is still an issue. Runners in scoring position. They went 1 for 10, 1 for 5, 1 for 7. So what is that? 3 for 32? So just above.
What was it again?
100.
1 for 10,
1 for 7, and 1 for 5. So
that's
3 for 22.
3 for 22,
okay.
Which is
150.
So that would be ish. Yeah, about 150, 160. Yeah, so not good.
Gotta get that number
not
up.
Good at all. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if I mentioned earlier. We were talking about it, where I was happy we got the wins, and I think with a lesser team with these sort of stats, I think I would be more worried. But the fact that it's the Mets, I think we can give them a little bit of a leeway with some of these accounting stats. I mean, they still put up 4 runs, but I do think they got to start scoring, and they got to start scoring now. And I put out that tweet. The Dodgers, their 5-game winning streak, they scored 51 runs. I counted all the way back to that Cubs Friday game. That's until, what was it? Either it was Wednesday or Tuesday. 10 games, they had scored 49 runs in 10 games. That's 4.9 runs a game, and that's including that 10 runs. Was not 10 runs. 11 runs they scored against the Cubs. Take that game away, and you have 38 runs in 9 games. That's 3.5 runs per game. Since
that's
then,
not good.
So this offense has to shape up, because that's just going to make everybody's job so much easier.
Yeah. I do want to say Jack Summers did tweet out that Torres said the medicals team plan for when Cattell comes back is he plays second versus right-handers and he DHs versus against lefties. So based on the matchups, he will be DHing tomorrow and Sunday. And then he'll be playing in the field on Saturday. Again, that's for if they play all 3. Again, we don't know officially if he will be activated tomorrow, but all signs are pointing that it's probably going to be the case. And Scott, I'm the same way. If this team in that span of the next 3 weeks, if they can be at 500 or just above 500 in those games, then I think we're in a good spot, because then that means we're kind of still where we are, 3 games above 500 on the season and tied for a wild card spot. For me, it's just kind of stay where you are at this point. Have that wild card, or just be half or 1 game behind a wild card spot until we really get truly healthy. If we can do that, I think we're going to be in a real good shape for the dog days of summer. I know everyone, and it's literally just because of the state of the National League West right now. Everyone's acting like, oh no, we're not going to make it. We have a better record this in April this year than we did last year. We didn't get above 500 till June 15th last year. So I'm just saying, can we just take a breath? And I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Scott, that's kind of what I meant to. Like, if we can be 500 in that like 20 game stretch, we'll kind of still be where we are at this point. Like for me, it's don't fall behind of where we're at right now. Stay where we're at. So if you stay at 500 during that 15 to 20 games, then I think we're gonna be fine. Because I really think it takes. It's really frustrating. I think it takes Torrey 2 months to figure out his bullpen rotation. I really think it does. So I wouldn't be surprised. Well, especially when we didn't have basically Ginkel for the first month. We didn't have Graveman. We're not going to have J-Mart for probably close to a month, most likely. So, yeah, just for me, it's just don't go on any big losing streaks. Like we had one, I think we had a 5-game one. That one was kind of nerve-wracking, but like you just got to put a cap like right there, like nothing longer than that, and then go on a 5-game win streak, and it kind of balances out. So, any final thoughts for the pod today, Gabe?
Yeah, just hopefully they can go into Philly and take 2 out of 3. I mean, just win the series. I think that's right now what matters. With the way this series went, like, I was surprised they came out with the series win, especially with the way it looked. A lot of these games, like there were times where you're just like, damn, like the Mets are going to put them away now, and they just didn't. They weren't able to take advantage of certain situations. But also credit to the pitching overall, the starters, the bullpen, they all did their job, and at least in the wins. Brian Nelson, really bailed his team out, not having to use as many guys as well. So credit to those guys, credit to the bullpen, credit to Ryan Thompson, even the guys who just did enough. I mean, Alec Thomas, yesterday when there was a flyout, he got to third base, and so because he was able to get to third base,
that one extra run,
got that. I believe might have been Barossa who brought him in, and having Alec Thomas on third, any ball, even slightly far into the outfield is a run scored. So getting that extra insurance run was key, and I don't think there's any way that Gurriel makes that. So credit to overall, like I said, a lot of these guys for just putting their head down and just grinding these last 2 wins and being able to take the series from the Mets. And you didn't make much leeway in the or make much headway in the NL West. Like they're still in 4th place, still 2 games behind the Giants, but it's still better than them being swept by the Mets or even losing the series to the Mets.
Yeah, like it's still like you guys are probably gonna get tired of me saying this. It's still early. It is like they aren't in a bad spot. Obviously, things could be better. There are at least, I don't know, 3 or 4 games that we probably should have won at this point, and you flip that, and we're probably close to the Dodgers record because we'd be like close to like 20-11, like 20-12 at that point. So we'd be right there, but that's kind of in the past. So just want to give a shout out to everyone that was in the chat here. Tanner, Scott, I saw V in there. Newly, there's a thing. Nathaniel was there. I saw Corbin Barrels in here, so we appreciate. Az Bubba was here. We saw V earlier, so we appreciate everyone for stopping by. If you're watching now or on the replay, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. Make sure to hit that notification bell. That way you do get notified every time we go live for a series recap. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure to check us out also on azsnakepit.com for our articles. There are also like series recaps over there. They got series previews. Go ahead and support them. Make sure to check out our Discord so you can join a community of Dbacks fans. We got a prospect channel in there. We got game day. We got all sorts of channels. So it's very fun in there during games. So we appreciate everyone for stopping by. See you on the next podcast of Dbacks Dispatch.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brennan, Brett, and Gabe on the call. With Josh in the back, bringing it all. Fastballs from the bats. sun